guys, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. I was about to say Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It's so ingrained into my mind. But yeah, in the last episode, we started off this very first case, Turnabout Trump. We cross-examined Phoenix for a little bit, and then we decided to hear from Miss Olga Orly here, who is a waitress at the restaurant and dealt the cards for the game, and now she is about to explain the competition of poker that the defendant and the victim were engaged in. So, let's go ahead and cross-examine her. The game began with 3,500 points in chips for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. Okay. Are the chips in this photo all the chips that were used?
Of course.
Something's fishy with these chips. Should I press harder? Maybe you could explain a bit about these chips?
Explain? What is there to it be explained? Poker chips are poker chips. They're not fish and chips. They're not a chip off the old block, not a motorcycle cop, not a...
Thanks. Now that I've pressed her, I better ask her something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars or rubles even?
Yet, as I've been saying before, it was game, not gambling. Odd perhaps for capitalists to understand. Two types of chip, 100-point chip and 1,000-point chip. It is not money, da.
Justice. Sir! Don't you find her comment interesting? In more ways than one, sir. I'd have it added to her testimony myself. Well, does the defense want the witness to add to a testimony? Yes, I do think this deserves further scrutiny. Add it to the testimony. I wish I knew where I was going with this. Very well. Witness, if you would be so kind.
Your Honor.
One kind of chip is worth 100, the other is worth 1,000. Okay, and she said 3,500 chips in all, so let's do some math right here. Okay. So if we're gonna assume that the black chips are 1,000, right? Because they're larger, right? So we have 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. And then, because we're already over 3,500, that doesn't make any sense. Let's try the smaller chip then. So that's 1,000, 2,000, no, hold on. Yeah, wait. Oh, each person started out with 3,500. So that's 7,000 points in all. So that's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, and then 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. Okay, so that is 7,000. So it's the smaller chips, and therefore I don't think he's winning? No, it wasn't. Okay. There we go. You're sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure?
It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at the picture is enough to tell you who won, if you're not in kindergarten.
Just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points?
Why, the big ones, of course. Duh.
Oh, I thought so too, but then the totals don't add up.
The totals?
Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips, and then the combined total value of the chips was 7,000 points. Yes, if my calculations are correct, let's see, 3 plus 1 carry the 5. They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. If the big chips are worth 1,000 points and the small chips are worth 100, and you add them up,
how much is it?
Do it yourself. You weren't in kindergarten, are you? 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's testimony.
But why? How could this be?
Exactly, Justice. Now that you know the what, you must determine the why. Right, there's only one possible way to explain this contradiction. Both were right, I think, so... Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in this photograph, then there can only be one answer. Well, what is it? The value of the chips was the other way around.
What?
Wanna know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000 points, not the big ones.
Madness! Utter madness!
Show me the photograph of the chips again. There were 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Well, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up. Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself. Well, I'm just glad I was the one who said it.
But wait! The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing!
Indeed! The victim did have the larger number of chips still. Oh! Exactly. If the small chips are worth 1,000 points and the large chips are 100, let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table. The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900 points and the defendant had 4,100 points. Well now, it seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all.
That's impossible!
My client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning.
Yeah!
Now, Miss Orly, you must have known the true value of the chips, since you were there at the scene of the crime. Weren't you? Order! It appears our defendant has lost his motive. And Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. We must now ask ourselves whether we can trust the... Excuse me? What is it, Miss Orly?
I did not want to be saying this, but actually, you see, see what, Miss Orly? What do we see? In the last hand, there was cheat.
What cheat?
A cheat? You don't mean a trick?
Wait, what do you mean? A scam? They're all the same thing.
Yes, there was cheat in last hand. That is why game ends with chips as they are.
Great, just great. First we have lying, now cheating. Well, this case certainly has taken a turn. For the interesting. Witness, you will please testify to the court. Tell us about this cheating in the final hand.
The last hand, both men had full house. There is 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument. The defendant's trick was exposed. He took bottle in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith.
Miss Orly, why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? I thought I smelled a cover up here. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers. A full house is a very high-scoring hand. Not easy to make in my experience.
That alone is enough to suspect less than
Okay. Mr. Gavin? What's a full house?
Lawyers these days, you don't know your poker?
I can't say this bodes well for your case or career. What is this, some kind of secret court poker ring? Justice. You know the terms 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 of a kind, yes? Yeah, no problem. 2 cards with the same number makes a pair, and 3 makes 3 of a kind. Good. Now picture a hand with 1 pair and 1 3 of a kind. That's a full house. That doesn't sound very easy to make, does it?
You can see each player's hand in this photo.
Wow, they both have full houses.
We forget there's an easy way to make a full house, and to go undefeated for 7 years. You cheat.
The defense may cross-examine the witness. If he did cheat in the last hand, that still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand. Who's ever heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat? Okay. How was it clear?
The defendant, he played the 5th ace.
A 5th ace?
I still remember both hands very well. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces. And Mr. Wright's 2. Obviously, cheating was afoot, or perhaps I should say, a hand.
Your Honor, perhaps this can be added to the testimony without Mr. Payne's joke. Very well. The witness will add this detail to a testimony, please. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces, and Mr. Wright's 2. It is 5 aces in all. Let's check this. 2 aces on Mr. Wright's side. 2 aces on... Okay. Y'all blind. It appears the witness is mistaken.
Mistaken? But my name...
Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony. That's the photo of the chips, is it not? Justice. Perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. In other words, use your finger to point out your point. Yes, please point out the contradiction in this photo. What particular point contradicts the witness's testimony? The victim's side has 2 aces. Miss Orly, in your testimony you made the following claim. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces. But as you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held 2 aces.
Eek! Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was the defendant's hand that held the 3rd ace in question.
Take another look at the evidence. As you can see, the defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's this 5th ace? I see cheating alright, and it's going on right here in this courtroom. 2 aces in each player's hand does make 4 aces total. Hardly proof of cheating.
Wait, please! It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating, I swear to you.
That's odd. She must be lying, and she's the most sincere I've seen her all day. You're right to trust your instincts. Mr. Gavin? Who knows what lies in store for us in the trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards. The cards? Mr. Payne.
Yes?
The players' hands that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? The defense would like to request that the cards be shown to the court. Very well. The prosecution will submit this evidence. Which will you examine? The victim's cards or the defendant's cards? If these cards don't prove cheating was going on, nothing will. Now, which of these hands is more suspicious? It was the victim's hand that changed over the course of the witness's testimony. The defense requests time to examine Mr. Smith's cards. Very well. Mr. Payne, if you would.
Very well.
Well, time's a-wasting. Get to it, Justice. Yes, sir! Okay. When examining evidence, be sure to view it from all sides and angles. Try using the dials on the evidence viewer. That should give you a better perspective on the case. Okay, let's do this. Okay, I hope you guys can't actually see my mouse. Oh! What? Your Honor, look at this! One of the victim's cards. The back is a different color.
Ah! That's impossible! But I put that card in Mr. Wright's hand.
What was that, Miss Orly?
No, yet. I merely said, I have...
Your Honor? Mr. Gavin, yes? Tell me, what is the easiest way to cheat at poker? To cheat? I'll tell you. One merely needs a friend, a comrade, shall we say. The dealer. Oh! Wait, so you mean... This witness, Miss Orly. She's the cheater, a professional, I'd wager. Whoa! Focus, Justice. Time to take advantage of her. Of her mistake. Your Honor, please recall the testimony we just heard.
That's impossible! But I put that card in Knight's hand.
Ergo, Miss Olga Orly conspired to cheat, not with my client, but with the victim, Mr. Shady Smith.
Oh!
Not only did she cheated poorly. Therefore, it's not hard to imagine an altercation between her and the victim. What? Wait, you don't mean... The defense isn't accusing the witness, Miss Olga Orly, are you? Time for justice. There were 3 people in the room at the time of the incident, and if Mr. Wright isn't guilty, that means... I am. The defense accuses the witness, Miss Olga Orly, of the murder. Ah! Oh no! Mr. Payne, where is your witness, Miss Olga Orly?
It appears she has lost consciousness, Your Honor.
Mr. Justice? Your Honor? It seems you presented a new possibility to the court, one suggesting a connection between the witness and the victim, Mr. Smith. And that means this court cannot pronounce a verdict for the defendant at this time.
What?
I did it! I held out! I see no point in prolonging the trial this day. The prosecution will need to make further inquiries. What are you doing, Phoenix? Mr. Wright? You can't end the trial here, Your Honor. Not yet.
What nonsense is the defendant spewing now?
Think. One of the cards had a different colored back. Don't you wonder what it means?
What are you doing, Mr. Wright? Raising objections right when you're about to get off the hook? Ridiculous!
Mr. Payne, you of all people should know. Mr. Wright has a talent for the ridiculous. Perhaps we should get to the bottom of things. Let's clear out the facts about the game that fateful night. As was said before, we alternated between 2 decks of cards that night.
That was said before.
The 2 decks at the club have different colored backs, blue and red. 1 color per deck. Why use different colored backs? If we use the same color, the 2 decks might get mixed. You used different colors and they still got mixed up. We used the red deck for the last game. I see, but that's odd. For some reason, I had this impression that you were using the blue cards. Yeah, me too. I'm sure someone said something about blue cards.
Whatever. In the end, 1 card of the wrong color got into the mix, which means there was cheating.
Yes, a card slipped into the deck would seem to indicate cheating. Yet, this card raises 2 serious questions. Apollo? Yes? Let's consider the first question, shall we? Think. In the last game, when was the card swapped? When? There were 3 broad possibilities here. It could have been swapped before the murder, during the murder, or after the murder.
Well, yeah, thanks for the news bulletin, Mr. Wright. Of course it was swapped.
Oh? It might be as simple as you think, Mr. Payne, or it might not be. I'd like to hear what Apollo thinks first. When do you think the cards were swapped? When was the card swapped into the deck? Okay, before the murder would be during the game, which they couldn't really do that since the backs of the cards are facing the other player. During the murder, I feel like nobody would really have the time for that, you know? After the murder? Perhaps it happened after the murder?
What's that? Ridiculous! What's the point of cheating after the hands have been shown? That's silly!
Yes, but tell me, how do you swap cards during the game? I'll take silly over impossible.
Take it from me, son. There's a lot of silly in this world, but very little impossible.
Oh? Even when the backs of the cards are a different color? If you pulled that during the game, you'd be caught in no time. Oh! Quite true. That would mean that the blue card in question was swapped after the hands were shown, after the murder.
Okay, this is going past silly and straight on to crazy. I ask again, what's the point of cheating after the game's over? Who would do that?
Who indeed? That's one of the mysteries before us. There's another? Yes, a simple yet decisive question must be asked. Who swapped the red card for a blue card? Who? The game and murder is done. The victim is dead. Only 2 remain in the room, alive that is. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and our witness, Olga Orly. Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for a blue? It wasn't Phoenix. It wasn't Olga. What, Olga? No. The one who swapped the cards wasn't Mr. Wright, of course. And, well, it doesn't seem like it could have been Olga Orly either. What are you suggesting? That's hardly a logical conclusion, I'll admit. As the defense, I think it only makes sense for you to name Miss Orly at this point. Yes, I know. But she was the one who dealt the cards, right? I just can't believe she would make the mistake of swapping the wrong color card. And if the card was swapped during the game, it'd be obvious. There's something you'd like to share with the court, Mr. Wright? Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. I was just thinking about how much fun all this is.
Fun? How about confusing? I have no idea what the defense is claiming, Your Honor. If the one who swapped the card wasn't the defendant and it wasn't Miss Orly, then who was it?
Yeah, well, that is the question, isn't it? Precisely. Huh? I believe we're about to see this case take a new direction. A new direction? We'll find that, indeed, after the murder, someone swapped one of the cards in the victim's hand, and that someone made two critical mistakes. I'm sure you're going to tell us that the first was swapping the wrong color card, because the one who did the swap didn't know two colors of cards were being used. The other mistake was the number on the card. Right. The person replaced the fifth ace with a king. I'm sure whoever swapped it wasn't expecting there to be a fifth ace after all. All they knew was that the game had been won with a full house, so they picked up a king from the table and swapped it in.
But there's one problem. According to our case record, this person doesn't exist.
True, not until now, but you had to admit the possibility of a fourth person. Though it's more than a possibility. There was someone else there at that night at the scene of the crime.
What?
And you're gonna tell us this now? I believe the judge spoke truthfully earlier. You do make trials ridiculous, Mr. Wright. This trial has proceeded on one central assumption, namely that at the time of the incident there were only 3 people in that room. I believe this new evidence, shall we say, overturns that assumption? The problem is that you chose to conceal this information from the court. I suppose that is a problem, yes. Court is adjourned for a brief recess. Mr. Gavin, I'll see you in my chambers during this recess. Certainly, Your Honor. Very well. The trial will resume in 20 minutes. April 20th, 11:52 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 3. That was quite unexpected, Mr. Wright. To suddenly claim that there was another person at the scene of the crime like that. I must ask, is it the truth? Well now, I think you would know the answer to that. Being mysterious, are we? Sadly, I've no time for mysteries. I only ask that you leave the defending to your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. I see you haven't mellowed out one bit, Kristoff. Justice. Yes, sir. The judge has summoned me to his chambers, so carry on without me. You did well, Apollo. Can I ask you something? Sure. That locket you wear, is that really yours, Mr. Wright? You're wondering about the victim's disappearing locket? Here, you can take a look at it. That's a picture of my daughter in there.
Oh.
I'm just surprised to hear that you had a daughter. Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her one of these days. One more question. The one who cheated that night, was it you? What do you think? Huh? You know what happened 7 years ago? What I did. It's not unreasonable for you to think I might cheat. I never! Honest! But it is odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years. Want to know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards all night and still win. Poker. Huh? You see, poker is all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. Poker is like trial law? Figure out what your opponent is thinking, and you win. Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds. I think not. Try as they might to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. Their body language can become a valuable source of information. You're kidding! That witness, for instance, Miss Orly, she would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? No. Come on, who noticed that? Words, habits, twitches, it's all information for the reading. That's the secret to winning, Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secret on to you. But I'm not worthy. I mean, there's no way I'll pick up on these signals. No, you can do it. Huh? You just don't know it yet. What's he talking about? But you will, soon. Almost forgot. One more thing about this case. You should know, I haven't told the truth to anyone yet. What? I knew it! I have my reasons, of course. All shall be revealed. And Apollo, I need you to be there, defending me. I need your power. My, power? I had no idea my cords of steel were that special. It's time. The real trial begins now. Do your best. Whew. Okay. That's the first part of the trial. I assume we're gonna keep cross-examining Miss Olga Orly when she gets up next time. But yeah, that is it for this episode. I'll see you next time. Roll the end card.
Objection! You haven't hit like and subscribe yet! Hold it! You forgot to ring the bell to get notified whenever I upload! Take that! Click here to watch more of my videos! Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye!